I'm Dutch, and let's react to the Americans. Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Johan, and I'm a typical Dutchman. And if you're planning to come over to Europe for your holidays, or maybe to live here, or if you're wondering why is everything so expensive in America in comparison with Europe, then you are at the right place, because in this channel we take a look at the differences between Europe and the United States, more focusedly on the cost of life and living between Europe and the United States. And for today we're going to take a look about this video. It triggered me because it said, why can't the Dutch speak about this? And I am Dutch, so I'm wondering, why can't we talk about this? And now I see he's a very radical politician. That can only be one guy. That's very radical. So radical that the entire world is talking about him. And that's our famous, again, our famous politician, Geert Wilders. Yeah, extreme right, with some extreme ideas. But let's take a look what they have to tell about him.
He's a radical politician.
He's a very controversial
Yeah, there he is.
figure.
Anti-Islam, anti-immigration.
The Dutch are famously tolerant regarding soft drugs, prostitution, and cultural diversity. But that is changing.
Our culture is better than the retarded Islamic culture.
Geert Wilders used to be a fringe figure in Dutch politics.
The Quran really has more anti-Semitism than Mein Kampf.
He has been convicted and was put on Al-Qaeda's most wanted list.
Yes, he has protection 24/7.
But in 2023, he won the national elections in a landslide. Whether you love him or hate him, the Dutch do have a problem. Wilders' main talking points are Islam and the people who bring it, which are primarily people from Turkish and Moroccan origin. These groups have crime rates that are 5 times and 2.5 times higher than those of native Dutch.
Yeah. I didn't know this. It's good to see this, but Turkey and native Dutch per 100,000 capita was 61. And we talk about 2022, yeah.
And many don't share the Dutch values. One study showed that 52% believes that Dutch women have too many freedoms.
Whoa. Don't tell this to a Dutch woman. She will slam you in your face.
Whereas reversely, 45% of Dutch citizens feel that Muslims are incompatible with the Western European way of life. The fact is that there are major challenges. There have also been major improvements. But this topic has become so sensitive that it's almost forbidden. This is that forbidden topic with hindsight.
No, it's not a forbidden topic, but it's changed, yeah.
Wilders has been around for a long time, and he's mostly known for his remarks on it.
Yeah, he's one of the oldest politicians in our government and on his way out.
Islam.
De islam is een bloeddorstig monster.
In his early campaign videos, he'd filmed these hit-and-run monologues.
Yeah, there was a PVV. Yeah.
You can see his driver still parking the car. He's surrounded by security, and he's always in or in front of a mosque.
En er verschenen verschillende nieuwe moskeeën, ondanks de protesten.
This kind of criticism had long been absent in the Netherlands. The public debate on immigration was always generally optimistic.
Yeah, that's what he started. That's why we came to a better immigration understanding. But it's not good enough, according to Mr. Wilders.
Even when some of the challenges of their multicultural policies came to the surface. Now he's leading the biggest party in the Netherlands, and he's tasked to turn his vision into reality. But let me start with a bit of historical context. The Dutch were already famously tolerant in the early 1600s. They were themselves religiously divided, mostly between Catholics and Protestants, and they administered vast colonies in Southeast Asia and the Caribbean.
And United States.
They realized early on that it would be better for business if they developed a tolerance for each other's differences. By the 1960s, this culture of tolerance had become a national trait, and they were going to take it one step further. They were fighting for gay rights. They made cannabis available for recreational use. All these progressive developments happened as the Dutch were losing their faith. But like in many other countries, they had a shortage of low-skilled workers. They recruited thousands, most notably from Turkey and Morocco, to work these jobs. And in their spirit of tolerance, they encouraged them to practice their faith and to maintain their cultural identity. The Dutch thought that they would return.
Yeah, more jobs and people, especially down right here in the south with the mines. So, yeah, we brought them in, all kinds, not only Turkish and Moroccans, Italians and Spanish, and yeah.
To their country of origin after some time and saw no need to integrate them in society. They lived parallel lives, and this is where problems started to emerge. In the 1960s, waves of guest workers came to the Netherlands to work low-skilled jobs. In Morocco, they were recruited primarily in rural areas in the north. In Turkey, they came mostly from smaller cities in central Turkey and on the Black Sea. When they arrived in the Netherlands, almost all settled in the 4 biggest cities. They were often housed in special residential areas or found rental apartments in low-income neighborhoods. This is where parallel societies emerged. The first generation worked long days for little money, and their crime rates were well below the national average. But their kids started causing trouble. The most
The kids. Yeah, they are, and of course, 2 cultures, they go to school, Dutch school, with foreign parents. Yeah.
problematic group were the so-called 1.5 generation of Moroccans. These were the children of the first generation of immigrants that moved to the Netherlands when they were very young. They often felt stuck between 2 cultures, and the worrying 65% of them were charged with a criminal offense before the age of 23.
Wow. Oh.
At that time, there was an unchallenged consensus amongst politicians that their multicultural policies worked brilliantly. One offer said that politicians had a gentleman's agreement to refrain from using the issue in electoral campaigns. This created a bias. Positive integration results were emphasized while negative aspects were downplayed. Many of these people lived in poverty, segregated, and in disadvantaged neighborhoods.
Yeah, they did, and they still are. It's not, that's now all solved. No.
2005, crime rates were much higher. Native Dutch had a crime rate of 150 per 10,000, while Moroccans had a rate that was 5 times higher and Turkish 3 times higher. Many of these kids spoke the language poorly, which gave them a disadvantage at school. Over time, there emerged so-called black schools, schools where over 50% of students had a non-Western immigration background. By 2006, almost half of all high schools in the 4 big cities were attended by at least 50% non-Western students. In a quarter of schools, this figure was over 80%.
Yeah, in the 4 big cities, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Den Haag, and Utrecht. There's no mention of the Italians and the Korean from Indonesia.
The first critique on poor integration results started in the late 1980s and 90s. But in the 2000s, it really heated up.
Vanavond Pim Fortuyn
Yeah, I was waiting for him. He's been
is
shot.
dood.
Yeah.
Laten we in godsnaam onze kalmte bewaren.
A politician who voiced vocal critique on Islam was murdered just
Yeah. At your service was his signature at your service.
Just 9 days before the election.
I think Holland is too tolerant.
We need to respect each other.
I don't know, I'm confused. I don't understand.
Shortly thereafter, a well-known filmmaker was shot
Also, gonna go Theo van Gogh. Yeah.
in cold blood.
Je mag niet zeggen wat je wilt, hè? Waar gaan we naartoe? Naar de kloten.
This was at a time of a heightened global anxiety about terrorism associated with groups that identified with Islam. In this context, Geert Wilders started his party.
I have nothing against Muslims. I have nothing against people. I have a problem with the Islamic ideology.
He made Islam his key talking point.
I believe it's a totalitarian ideology, that it should not be compared so much with other religions, but with other totalitarian ideologies like communism or fascism.
But he was much more extreme than his predecessors.
It is a culture of backwardness, of retardedness, of barbarism.
In his first election, he
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's still causing the problems, and that's why he's also not only in the Netherlands, but his focus on the Netherlands, of course. But that's all the problems that we have in the Middle East around Israel, with Iran being extreme Islamic. So yeah, he's fearing that the same will happen over here in the Netherlands.
won 9 seats, which was considered an impressive result, but it was still far less than the largest party. The harsh critique from Wilders resonated with segments of society, and he doubled down on this approach. He published this article with the title "Ban the Quran, also in mosques." And he published Fitna, a provocative short film that vilified the religion.
I believe Islam is a violent and dangerous religion and even a retarded culture.
This gave him international attention.
Yeah, that's why I already know. Oh, wow, what's going about Geert Wilders?
A full stop of immigration from Muslim countries to the Netherlands. Not because I have something against the people, but I believe that they bring along a culture and an ideology, a fascist ideology that we should not let grow in our societies.
This earned him a spot on Al-Qaeda's most wanted list. Dead or alive, it read. By 2009, Wilders was firmly established as a politician, and his critique on Islam cost him all his freedom. He was known for being provocative. He was considered extreme and outlandish, like his proposal for a headscarf tax.
De introductie van een hoofddoekjesbelasting.
This would cost
Oh, I didn't know this. A headscarf tax.
€1,000 per year. It earned
Okay, I didn't notice that he proposed this one.
him some laughs in cabinet and some attention in the media, and the public loved it. In 2010, he won an impressive 24 seats, just 7 shy of becoming the largest in the country. The public debate on Islam and the migrant communities that bring it to the Netherlands was no longer ignored.
Yeah, it's because of the many other things that happened in those years. We talk 9/11, we talk the Afghan war, we talk the Gulf War, we talk about,
It was now widely discussed in the media, and more voices entered the debate. Wilders, in one of his first interviews, said that he entered politics for one reason.
I am to fight the Islam.
To fight Islam. But he was now facing more political competition. 2017 was a consequential year in the Netherlands. Thousands of Turkish people took to the streets to show support for President Erdogan of Turkey.
Desde los verdes pastos de Galicia, con las mejores materias primas y mucho I+D.
After the Dutch refused entry to a Turkish minister, they clashed with the police. Reports broke about how Turkey is using mosques to spread messages that could be interpreted as politically motivated. This led to widespread concern about Turkey's influence to control its diaspora in the Netherlands.
Yeah. I know. There's discussion about Erdogan. Oh, wasn't that good?
ben hier geboren en getogen. Voor het eerst voelde ik me niet echt thuis.
While many Turkish people felt that the Dutch government didn't have their backs.
Ik vind het de domste van het domste dat ze dit kunnen doen.
Wilders shared a tweet showing Erdogan with the text terrorist. And Erdogan sued Wilders for insulting the president, a crime that's punishable in Turkey for up to 4 years in prison. Religious freedom is a constitutional right, and it's firmly part of the Dutch sense of national
Yeah. Everybody has freedom of religion.
identity. But some Muslims had values that contradicted other key values in the Netherlands. This study from 2013 questioned Muslims in 6 countries, amongst which the Netherlands. To the statement, "I don't want homosexuals as friends," 56% of Muslims agreed. To the statement, "Jews cannot be trusted," 45% of Muslims agreed. To the statement, "The rules of the Quran are more important than the laws of the country," 65% agreed.
Yeah. That's the problem. It's not the people. It's yeah, I know. That's why Wilders is so getting into it.
The offer clarified that there's nothing intrinsic to Islam that explains these problems. It was not a critique on the religion, but it showed how religious fundamentalism is much more prevalent than was previously assumed, and that deserves attention. Despite the debate about Islam and immigration now entering the mainstream, Geert Wilders wasn't performing well in elections. He lost significantly in 2012 and struggled to recover in the subsequent elections.
Islam and freedom, Islam and democracy are incompatible.
Muslims in the Netherlands are feeling increasingly alienated, and Geert Wilders isn't helping.
But people don't even practice in the same way.
No, but look at every country in the world where the Islam is dominant.
If you continuously hear that your culture is backward and your religion is bad, it only makes sense that it leads to feelings of alienation and resentment.
Yeah. Yeah. He's right.
Wilders would share tweets saying things like,
Yeah. And he is always provocative. Always. In his tweets, in the politics, in discussions, he's always provocative.
these.
Oh, Muhammad was a pedophile. Mass murder. Oh, yeah.
Most Muslims in the Netherlands now consider their faith their primary social identity. They feel Muslim first and Dutch second. The percentage of Dutch women of Moroccan origin that wear a headscarf increased from 75% to 89%, while it remained stable around 50% for women of Turkish origin. The number of people that pray 5 times per day also increased by about 10%. Wilders realized that in order to grow his party, he needed to tone down his rhetoric and adopt more policy standpoints. And that's what he did. He had always been a Eurosceptic.
We need to have an exit. That's inevitable.
And he now positioned himself as a champion of the poor. He expanded his persona to appeal to a larger group of people, and he became less provocative.
Yeah, he became weak with somebody. I don't like this guy at all. But yeah.
He talked about the economy, healthcare, asylum seekers, and the relationship with Russia. If you take away some of the rougher edges of Geert Wilders, what remains is a charismatic man with a good sense of humor.
Om de cultuur te herstellen van Nederland mag Zwarte Piet minister van Cultuur worden.
But it still came to everybody's surprise just how many seats he won during the 2023 election. He had now become the leader of the largest party in the Netherlands. And the question on everybody's mind is, who is he really? His old self, or what the media dubbed Geert Wilder.
Zegt u dan geen nieuwe moskeeën erbij? Of ook de bestaande moskeeën sluiten?
Nou, hoe minder, hoe beter. Laat ik het daarmee samenvatten. Wij vinden dat het eigenlijk niet bij een open en vrije samenleving hoort, omdat die religie of ideologie, hoe je het ook wil noemen, eigenlijk totalitair is. Is dat nu met deze campagne het belangrijkste punt? Het antwoord is nee. Islam.
No, yeah, oh, well, maybe he will say, but just like in the United States, although we do it a bit more easy, we don't have ICE picking up each and every possible immigrant and kicking them out of the country. But the main goal for this man was, because we don't have a government right now, was to get rid of the immigrants, the illegal immigrants here.
Zal nooit uit ons DNA gaan, maar de prioriteit ligt nu duidelijk bij andere zaken.
Wilders maintains his stance on Islam, but he showed a willingness to compromise. Some of his most controversial ideas, such as a ban on mosques and the Quran, were put aside, and his priority became to lower the number of non-Western immigrants that arrive in the Netherlands.
Yeah, non-Western immigrants.
He advocates to make the Netherlands as unattractive as possible for asylum seekers, taking inspiration from Denmark. He wants stricter border controls and less involvement from the EU. The Netherlands is becoming increasingly polarized on issues like immigration and Islam, and Geert Wilders has contributed to this divide. But he also helped bring the debate to the political mainstream, and that's a fundamental step towards solving these issues.
Yeah, and now we have let fallen the government, because after 1 year, nothing has changed about how to handle immigrants, non-Western immigrants. So if you're from America, you're still good to come over, but to non-Western immigrants from like the Middle East or from Asia, or especially from the Islamic states, they are much harder, and it didn't work. So he went up and said, we're gonna drop out of this government, and there will be new elections this year in a couple of months. Geert Wilders, yeah, a very special personality within the Netherlands politics, worldwide famous, but he became #1. This party became #1. So you can assume that the sentiment within the Dutch culture is the same. Otherwise, he wouldn't have become the biggest party of the Netherlands. And yeah, so I hope you find this video some informative. If you did, then press like. And if you want to see more of my videos, then this one is a good one too. And please subscribe to the channel. That would help the algorithm to put this video and my channel more about in the YouTube. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.